Hi, people. This is Attorney John Ward. We're here for the Ward Law Group podcast, our first episode. I'm here with Attorney Newmiller, Attorney Dana Smith, and Attorney Sean Tennis. We want to start by introducing each other. Attorney Newmiller, can you give us a little background about you, how long you've been a lawyer, what your practice areas are, that sort of thing?
Absolutely. My name's Hannah Newmiller. I've been an attorney since October, so 4 months. I am from the Black Hills of South Dakota. I'm passionate about helping people and the environment in our communities. I graduated from UNH Law last year and joined Ward Law. I do a variety of practice areas, some workers' comp, personal injury, criminal defense, and I'm just trying to get my feet on the ground and see what I want to do for my whole career.
Attorney Smith?
Me next?
I'm kind of the order.
I'm Dana Smith. I am the Senior Associate Attorney at Ward Law Group. I've been here with John since, 2019, since we opened, right?
Yep.
I've been a lawyer since 2013, so I am now over a decade in the legal field, which is crazy to think about. Feels like yesterday that I started practicing. My practice focuses primarily on workers' comp, so I represent injured workers. I think we specialize in complex cases and cases where there are, for whatever reason, a case has been denied, or there are things that need changing, or insurance company isn't paying for certain things, and trying to find creative solutions to try to ensure that we're leaving clients in a better place than where we found them, right? Like, that's always been our goal, is how can we take a person who's arguably at the worst point in their life in a lot of these times and leave them in a spot where, they're moving forward in a positive direction. So that's my focus primarily, and I very much enjoy doing it.
I do want to correct the record. Dana and I have been together longer than 2019.
That's correct.
Yeah. We were back, Norman Associates, we started, he was a law clerk, and then Patrick Sheldon Ward, so we've been together a long time. I had hair when we first met, so it's been a while.
Let's not say things we can't take back.
Yeah. I'm John Ward, been in practice since 2010. Do personal injury, workers' comp, social security, disability, a little bit of estate planning as well. We've got a very busy practice. We've got a good team here. And next is Sean Tennis.
Sean Tennis. I have been practicing since approximately 2016. My focus areas are personal injury and workers' compensation. I am also licensed in Massachusetts, so I also handle personal injury and workers' comp in that area. So I've been doing this for a while. Also, kind of like what Dana said, handle a lot of complex cases, helping people get through situations that they don't want to find themselves in.
I want to start let's talk about what's everybody's favorite practice area. What do you like to do the most?
I think I'll start because my answer is the easiest, because I only do workers' comp.
Doesn't mean you have to like it.
See, that's why I stuck with it, is that was something I found that I didn't like very much. I did family law for a long time, and I felt like I was sort of getting burned out on the law. And then COVID happened, and all the family courts were shut down, and really all the courts in the state were shut down. And for whatever reason, the Department of Labor was the only one who had sort of figured it out, and they were still doing hearings. So John and I were doing, 2, 3, 4 online hearings a week, right? When they were doing them all via WebEx. And I just kept taking more and more comp files and realized that this is something I really like. And I don't feel so burned out like I did on some of the family law stuff. So for me, the answer is most certainly workers' comp.
I just want to add to that. Dana, because he just does workers' comp, I think really digs deep into some of this stuff. He's very good with it. The regulations, the statute. He really takes time to know the law inside and out. So it's an asset to have somebody that all they do is workers' comp. Morning, night, that's all he does. And Dana knows the regulations. He knows the statute inside and out. What's your favorite regulation? Let me ask you that one. Put you on the spot.
We're talking about now. So we're talking about the lab rules, or we're talking about the statute?
We're talking about the lab rules.
The lab rules. I mean, for me, it's always going to be the recalculation of the average weekly wage, right? And there's certain things about when to count things and when not to count things, and how to make it so that the claimant's getting paid the most amount of money possible.
Okay. And how is it calculated? Is it 2 weeks, 26 weeks, 52 weeks?
So we're talking about the statute now, or are we talking about
the regulations?
Well, the regulations say that you can exclude certain weeks, right? So you can exclude the week of hire if it's less than what they would, what their normal average is, and the week of injury. But when we're talking about the calculation itself, it's a 26 to 52 week look back, right? So a lot of times the insurance company does, as they're required to do, a 26-week calculation and a 52-week calculation. But the statute itself says that you can calculate it at any week most favorable between 26 and 52. So when you have people that work a lot of overtime, or they are, a good example is like cable linesmen, or people who work on the power lines when they go out in a storm and they're working, 40 hours in a period of like 3 days, right? They have these huge weeks where they're making substantially more than maybe their weeks where they're just working their normal hours. Well, you can recalculate at week 40 or week 45 or whatever gives them the highest average. And in cases like this where people are only getting 60% of their average weekly wage, whereas if they were working, they'd be getting, probably 75% after taxes, that could be a big difference in these cases. And the average weekly wage affects things like permanency and potential future lump sum settlement. So it's important to make sure we're calculating that at the highest amount.
One other thing on the regulations, my favorite regulation is, and people should know this, permanent impairment awards. If the workers' comp carrier does not object to or respond to the permanent impairment award within 15 days, you can order it to get it paid. A lot of times, Dan, I know you see this too, we all do, is we'll send a permanent impairment award. And it may be high, frankly, but if the workers' comp carrier does not object to that permanent impairment award, you can request an administrative order from the Department of Labor making them pay it. So there's no way out. So that's one of the things that I think is helpful. When you have a lawyer in here, you can make sure these things get processed and get processed timely. It's important for policy reasons, because otherwise these insurance companies would be sitting on this for months.
Yeah.
And there'd be no remedy, and you have to request a hearing, and they can delay this thing for 3, 6, 9 months.
Yeah.
Due to that, the lab rules that order that, we can really kind of push this along, which is helpful.
Yeah, I think the timeliness portion of it is super relevant, right? And that's because if you submit one and it gets objected, they're going to schedule it for a hearing, right? And then you're looking at, God, like you said, 3 to 6 months before you may have an answer, especially if it's on appeal. You've had some of these go all the way to the Compensation Appeals Board. So to have it done, 15 days, get it submitted, and have an order from the department that they need to submit something drastically cuts down the amount of time where people are getting awards for their permanent injuries.
Okay. Attorney Newmiller, I know you're only 4 months in, but what do you like the best so far?
I like the ability to try out different practice areas. I became an attorney because I want to help people and help my community. I thought I would end up doing mostly criminal defense because that's all I had been exposed to before law school and mostly this internship. Even my previous ones were really criminal defense focused. So I like the ability and flexibility and support to try out different practice areas, learn different areas of law, personal injury, workers' comp. I have a couple civil cases. I'm in a probate case, and I do some criminal defense. So I think I'm at a point where I'm just enjoying exposure to different areas and finding what I like the most and where I think my skill set is the most helpful to clients.
I think that's absolutely true, and Attorney Newmiller is doing a lot of different stuff right now, and I think all of us went through this as new lawyers. And you become a better lawyer by doing different stuff and little tricks of the trade and seeing what you like and what you don't like. And whether it's criminal, whether it's workers' comp, I was in the same boat. I mean, if you would have told me in law school I was going to be a workers' comp lawyer, I would have said you're crazy. I'm not sure I even knew what workers' comp really was.
I didn't until I came here.
Administrative process or procedure was my least favorite class.
Oh, I hated it. It was so boring. The book was about 1,000 pages, and the professor too at the time would read from the book, and I was eyes glazed over.
Yep.
Almost as bad as tax. I mean, tax was terrible too. I hated it. But being a good lawyer is trying different things. I mean, I know Dana did. I did landlord tenant. I did some family law. I did no tax, thank God. I did some civil litigation. I did collections. I did a little bit of everything. And you learn pieces of the law. And I think it helps you know, even if you don't know the statute, you kind of know what the law should be and what the remedies are and what the options are. And I think that helps you being able to advise people, whether it's workers' comp, PI, something else. And like Hannah said, we try to help people. So we have a lot of people that call that are former clients.
Yep.
And we always tell people that, look, you call us on stuff, we'll try to get you. We may not be able to help you, but we can steer you in the right direction. Mm-hmm. Whether it's answering a question, whether it's getting them into another attorney. So our clients kind of stay with us for life. And we're proud of that. And that's part of the reason we've been able to build our business is, it's a lot of client referrals, reviews, that sort of thing. So I think Hannah's doing the right thing by trying different things, and who knows what you're going to like and what you don't like.
Building off what you were saying too, though, whole idea of becoming a better lawyer and trying different things, right? I couldn't agree more. Like stepping outside of your comfort zone and trying things that, there are times, I know you and I talk about this a lot, we're filing things and waiting to see what happens.
Yeah.
Something maybe we've never tried before, but it's a tool we have in our book, right?
Yeah.
Or trying exploring a different avenue of the statute that we've never tried before. Just like, or losing.
Yeah.
Losing is a huge, it sounds silly, but like you have to lose to get better as an attorney.
Absolutely.
Right, and then you learn, okay, what did I do wrong on this, right? If you're going and just taking cases where you're only going to win, you never lose. You never learn what to do in cases where the answer is difficult, or there may not be a good answer, or how to sort of process through these things. And I think it's important to lose and to step outside your comfort zones and to do things that maybe you don't know what's going to happen, but it's sort of testing the water, or and those are the things that lead to some of the biggest, I think, benefits moving forward as an attorney, right? Like,
Yeah.
I tried this, it didn't quite work, but I know now that I can use this in a different scenario, or I tried this and I lost, but now I know when I see this again, I think I can win by doing this a certain way, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, no, it's a trial and error process, and none of us are perfect. And I think the statute of limitations is run on this, but first couple of years, and this is all lawyers, we don't know what the heck we're doing.
No.
Let's be honest. Like, we are making up as we go.
Fake it till you make it.
And luckily we got a team here. We can bounce stuff off each other, and that's very helpful. But we just do the best we can. We try to push for our clients, and hopefully it works out. Sean?
So I'd have to say, without hesitation, my favorite area is personal injury. Unlike everyone else, when I started practicing, I started at a boutique firm where all we did was personal injuries.
What does boutique mean?
It's a small firm where we had a very small caseload of very large cases. And so I jumped right in. I only did personal injury. I only did litigation. And I can very much appreciate what they're saying. And I think it's very sound. I also appreciate the angle I got, where I have spent essentially my entire career in the same area. I've also branched out a little bit. Now I'm doing workers' comp, which I very much enjoy. And I also practice in Massachusetts. So, both of those, workers' comp and personal injury, they're similar, but they're different. So practicing another state is kind of like learning another area. So you do kind of have to figure out the processes, even from the initial filing of, the lawsuit. It's handled differently in New Hampshire and Massachusetts. But I like personal injury because at the end of the day, if it has to, you get to have a trial. I very much enjoy the trial. I am a trial attorney. Workers' comp is fun. You get the hearings. It's kind of like a mini trial. I don't want to take away from that, but I love when I have the opportunity to get in front of a jury, make that argument. And then the last piece of why I like it better is personal injury has pain and suffering. So you have a lot more room to argue, a lot more, things you can argue to get people paid for their injuries, certain things that the statute and workers' comp just doesn't give you. So my long-winded answer is personal injury.
Sounds good. Okay, I'm going to put everybody on the spot here. And without naming names, what's the favorite case and the most important case you've worked on, and why are you proud of it, or thought you got a good result, or that sort of thing?
You want to start?
She's only 4 months in.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, I agree with you. Okay.
She's trying to decide between all the wins already.
So I interned here while I was still in law school, and there's a rule in New Hampshire where you can be an attorney under the supervision of an actual attorney, and Attorney Smith allowed me to basically run my own case from the beginning. It was a case that under workers' comp that was kind of difficult to prove. It was it really could go either way. It was based on this one case, Marginson, which doesn't really matter for the podcast. But I got to argue it at a hearing while I was still in law school, and then it ended up going on to appeal, and they kind of postponed it over the summer because they knew I was coming back after taking the bar, and I ended up winning on appeal. And the client was my age, this girl who was my age, and we ended up winning for her. She's okay. She ended up having a surgery, and she's back to work now, but it felt good to see a case all the way through. Kind of for the first time in internships or law school or clinics or whatever, you're only there for a couple months usually. So that would have to be my proudest case, and I guess the first one I saw all the way through, and we ended up winning, which felt good for the client and for me.
And I would just like to note on that Hannah was a law student, and she was going against one of the most seasoned workers' comp attorneys in the defense bar, and she beat him. I don't think he was very happy about it. But he's a good guy, and I think he took it.
Yeah.
He took it on the chin, like we all do, frankly. So that was a great job by Hannah, and I give her credit for doing it. There's a lot of lawyers I've seen. We have a lot of law clerks. We have people that have come through, and and part of it is figuring out what you want to do. And if you're afraid to do things like that, you're not going to be in litigation. And some people don't like that, and that's okay.
Yeah.
They're more transactional, and they want to, write up loans and mortgages and that sort of thing. Which, I put a bullet in my mouth. I think. So doing that. But this is also scary. I mean,
Yeah.
I
I love it.
don't want to.
Yeah.
You weren't scared at all the first time?
No.
Wow.
I've done
You're
public
better than
speaking
me.
and like debate since high school. I don't know. It gives me a thrill. I like it.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
good. I give you credit.
Yeah.
I give you
I'm the
credit.
opposite. I get nervous before every hearing.
Absolutely.
I feel like it's, we're there representing the interests of these people, right? Like we have to know the file better than the person themselves. And it's our reputation that's on the line. So every time I go to a hearing, I'm a little bit nervous. Not nervous like I was when I first started, when I was really scared of everything.
Right.
Really. But I don't know. I always tell people when I talk to clients too, like that. I want you to be a little nervous. Like they tell me I'm nervous, and I'm like, that's a good thing. That means you care, right?
Yeah,
like
right.
The people that make me nervous, really nervous, the other type of nervous are the ones that don't care, that are so calm about it. And it's like, do you care? Are you telling me why isn't this very important to you? Why aren't you nervous? Like this is still a process. There's never a slam dunk case if you're going to a hearing, right? It always sort of exists somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
And I wanted to add too about Hannah. I had the honor of going to that hearing when she was still in law school. And I wanted to add, she was the first one I ever thought was, that I ever agreed to allow to do a hearing with the Department of Labor because I had a lot of confidence that she would do a good job. And I remember sitting in the hearing and I had a notepad. And she finished and they looked at me because I was there as a supervising attorney and to see if I wanted to add anything. And I had written on my notepad, "Nah, you killed it," I think is what I did. I showed it to her,
so.
and I said, "Good." That's what I had written on it, And so I didn't add a thing. She did, and she won, right? And I thought it was really cool getting to see the process played out because you started it in law school. You went, took the bar, passed, and then got to do the appeal hearing as an actual attorney. So you were
All by myself.
all by yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was me supervising, and then by the end, you were doing it all on your own as a real attorney. So that was cool. That was a good good work experience for me, or a good sort of life experience for me. That was pretty neat.
Yeah. I would also note too, Dana and Sean's kind of taken over some of this stuff, but the internship program and law clerk program, and we've had a lot of them that have come through, and a lot of them have been good, and good young attorneys. They're going to be good attorneys. I've never hired one of the law clerks before Hannah. A couple of reasons why is we're a small firm, and it's tough to get them going. But Hannah, and Dan was really positive on Hannah, and she's showing it. She was a hard worker, had a good sense of cases, did a good job. So Hannah's the first one that's kind of homegrown that we brought in, and she's building her practice. So we're
don't
proud of
watch
her.
that.
Yeah,
Go Panther, guys.
we're proud of her.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, Dana.
For me, the case I think that stands out the most is the one that just sort of concluded. Trying to do this without going too many facts, but I had a client who she was a nurse and we represented her, and she had an accepted workers' comp claim, and then had gone back to work for one day and realized that she shouldn't be back at work. And it got to the point where she needed a surgery, and we were pending a surgery for her and requested a hearing on this denied surgery. Prior to the hearing, she went and had the surgery and unfortunately passed away from the surgery. So now we have this denied surgery that we were pending a hearing for, where the woman has now passed away. So there's a sort of a whole chain of things that happens from there. We get connected with the estate. We then take representation with the estate. We then re-request a hearing and ask for death benefits for the husband of the woman. And now it gets delayed for a period of about 6 months. Then we finally get to a hearing. So now we have to go to a hearing and prove not only was the surgery was related to the work injury, but also that the surgery was the cause of her death. And that would entitle then the husband to death benefits as a result. So we prevailed at the first level hearing. It got appealed by the insurance company. We went all the way to the Compensation Appeals Board, and we won again. And it ended up being it's an extremely difficult situation for this guy. But it goes back to leaving the people in a better spot than where you found them, right? And I think we did as well as we could have done for that man and his family and the children that were involved. And it's a case that'll definitely stick with me for the rest of my legal career because a whole host of different legal issues, and I feel like we got that guy a really good result. I was considered.
Yeah,
So.
no, you guys did a great job on that case. I guess the most recent one that I can think of is Peeler Robinson. I can speak about the facts a little bit because it's published.
Yes.
That was a case that it was a slip and fall case while the guy was working on the job. So people don't know. Generally, if you file a workers' comp claim, that's what's called your exclusive remedy. That's all you get is workers' comp, and that's it's supposed to be a faster process, but you get limited benefits. You get 60% of your pay, you get medical benefits, you get a permanent impairment award, voc rehab potentially if it's warranted, but that's all you get. There's no pain and suffering. There's no hedonic damages. None of that stuff. However, if you have a workers' comp claim and you can find a third-party defendant, basically, a lot of times it's auto accidents. It's if there's slip and falls and somebody owns the property, you can file another claim, what's called a third-party claim, where you can get what Sean loves, pain and suffering, and the other 40% on the lost wages, all that sort of stuff. So anyway, long story longer, we had a workers' comp case. Guy fell while working. The property was owned by another entity. So we filed a claim. The lawyer for the third-party claim ended up filing what's called a motion for summary judgment. That's basically a request to end the case before it goes to trial, indicating basically that there wasn't a legal basis to move forward based on the case law of New Hampshire. That, without too many details, there was a lease in place that shifted the responsibility of maintenance to the employer, so they said they weren't responsible. Superior Court agreed with them. We very much disagree. There's some case law in New Hampshire that basically says that property owners have a non-delegable duty to maintain the premises, which is good policy, frankly, because you don't want these landlords to hand over the keys, move to Florida, and say, good luck, everybody, where there's a skating rink outside or it's unsafe. So New Hampshire law, in my opinion, was pretty supportive. We brought that up to the Supreme Court. These guys were all in Hanover, a great team on that. We did a mock argument, which was very helpful for me to kind of zero in on what I needed to do. And we brought it to the Supreme Court, and I think a lot of you guys came, and Supreme Court ended up agreeing with us, as they should. And we got the case brought back, remanded, and we were able to get a six-figure settlement for the guy, and he was very happy. And so sometimes it works out.
That was a really great result.
Yep,
It was.
Sean.
So my best win right now, despite personal injury being my favorite, is a workers' comp case. So it's just sometimes these factors are interesting. So we had one. It was a nurse who injured her back by having to lower a patient to the floor. But another employee, a coworker of hers, reported that she made up this injury, that this injury occurred while she was doing cheerleading with her cousin or something like that. So they denied her workers' comp claim, saying, we don't believe this happened. They also fired her basically immediately. And so we went to the first level of the Department of Labor, and we were unsuccessful. The department did not find her believable, and they thought that the other witnesses were more believable. So we went to the next level because we wanted to keep fighting this, and I had the opportunity to cross-examine the director of nursing and was able to show that as part of her investigation, she did absolutely nothing to find out what this actually was. Long story short, at the appeal hearing, we got the appeal board to agree with us that it happened the way we alleged it happened. So she ended up being terminated because of this in about July of 2023. And I think we finally were successful in her appeal in mid or late 2024. So she had been disbelieved that whole time, everyone calling her a liar, that this happened. They were alleging elder abuse to her. And we finally got that win for her. So she's on benefits. She's now getting those weekly checks as she should have been. And she at least has that satisfaction of knowing that she was believed by somebody. So that is by far my best case right now.
Is there anything more wild than Department of Labor hearings with multiple witnesses? When you have no idea what they're going to say, and you sort of show up for the first time.
It's wild.
You just go with the flow and sort of see what happens.
Wait to see what they're going to say.
Yeah, I mean, you talked a little earlier about Superior Court cases and juries and whatnot. but the Department of Labor is very different, right? Like, I feel like when you get in a
Absolutely.
Superior Court case, you generally have some sort of idea of what most everybody's going to say by the time you get there. The Department of Labor, you have no idea.
Yeah, that was a big change for me starting workers' comp. Is I always knew what to expect in personal injury.
Yeah.
You go into a hearing and you wait to see what gets said.
It's great thinking on a lot of thinking on your feet, a lot of
Yep.
sort of processing through and making sure you're listening to what the answers are that people are giving. You
Yeah.
know,
And it's very true. I mean, we call it the Wild West, and it's a fun kind of different process.
Yeah.
In civil cases, when we have witnesses, number one, there's a lot more disclosure requirements for civil cases where they got to turn over whatever they have. Number two is when you have like a witness that's going to testify at trial, what you generally do beforehand is you take a deposition, and that's where you can basically find out what that witness is going to say. Department of Labor, you can't do that. So you show up and you don't know what they're going to say, what's going to come out of their mouth. Also, it's interesting that people don't get is surveillance.
Oh God, yeah.
In a civil case, we get a copy of whatever surveillance they had, that sort of thing. In workers' comp, all they have to do is disclose that they have surveillance. You don't know what's on the tape.
Yeah.
So that's one thing we're always talking to clients,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
be honest. Just tell what you did. The worst thing you can do is lie.
Yeah.
Okay? Worst thing you can do is say, I never go to the grocery store. I never go to Walmart.
Yeah.
I've never been there the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Then they shut the lights down, turn on the tape, and they got your client going to Walmart.
Yeah.
And they got your client going to the grocery store, which isn't a big deal. People got to live. And clients, it's something, I don't think they want to lie. They don't, but they get nervous, and they're not used to this process.
Yeah.
And I think it's normal. They get defensive, and they can go overboard sometimes. So that's one thing that we always do is we'll meet with clients before a hearing to go through. Basically, I do like a mock hearing. I don't know if you guys do the
I
same
do
thing,
pretty much the same.
where I go through exactly what I'm going to ask, what the other lawyer's going to ask, the good, the bad, the ugly.
Yeah.
And also, a lot of times with clients too is, there's stuff in records that's a problem. I call it poison. That insurance companies are going to try to
Yeah.
stick that poison in the best they can.
Mm-hmm.
And it may be something stupid, it may be something or a bigger deal, but you need to acknowledge it. You need to let them know that you're aware of it, and this is why it's wrong, and this is your spin on it. But just ignoring it doesn't help the situation, and just avoiding the topic looks like you're hiding from it. So, and medical records are a problem. You got a lot of doctors out there that they're meeting with a lot of patients the way healthcare is now.
Yeah.
So records can get screwed up, dates can get screwed up, and that can be a problem with workers' comp cases.
And they don't know the legal aspect of cases too.
Yeah.
Like, so you've got doctors who don't realize that they're making legal opinions that are being used for a legal basis in a legal proceeding, and they're just trying to do their best to sort of, medically write down, the process that they don't understand.
Yeah. A lot of what we do is kind of, once we take a file in, we'll look at the records, we'll see what we have, and part of our job is kind of, we're janitors. We clean things up.
It's a great
And, we'll get a letter. If we're missing workers' comp forms, we kind of put it together in a way that meets our burden of proof. It's nothing clients don't understand. We have the burden of proof on these
Yes.
cases. You got to deny a claim. We got to prove that it's related. Okay, it doesn't have to be 100%, but it's going to be more likely than not.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of what we do, and it's absolutely right. Department of Labor is a different sort of animal.
Yeah.
Do
you, I assume you guys do this, and I always talk to, especially younger attorneys about this, like, tell your clients the bad stuff about their case, right? Like, it's so much better hearing it from you. They may be pissed off at you at the time, or they may say, well, what company are you working, right? But like, you want them to know that you need to tell them the bad stuff about their case. It's much better. They're much better off hearing it from you for the first time than hearing it at a Department of Labor hearing, right?
Absolutely.
And I always laugh about that surveillance thing. I have a flashback. We talked earlier about having a lot of legal residents and people coming through the process here. I had a guy, we talked about, like, we do all these hearings. First time he's coming to watch a hearing, and Meg had a surveillance video. And we go through this hearing about my guy saying he's claiming all this time about a work, and you can always sort of tell what they have for evidence depending on how many questions they ask.
Yeah.
Like, if they don't have anything, they'll ask the client 1 million questions.
Yeah.
And, Meg's a good attorney, does a great job. Asked, I think, 2 questions to my client, and then she said, all right, I'm going to show a video.
Yeah. Oh.
And it's a cameraman in the woods. Like, you can see, like, the leaves, like, all around, and he's sitting there in the woods, and it's a guy, and you can only see his back, and, Meg's, that you? It's not me. You can't even see my face. You can see him using the arm that's allegedly hurt. The video's about 3 minutes long, and the whole time I remember sitting there with this intern. First time he's watching the hearing. Don't turn around. Don't turn around. Don't turn around. Don't turn around. Gets to about 15 seconds left in the video. Guy turns around, clear as day, framed in by like the leaves that the guy was filming from in the woods. Clearly his face. Meg, here we go. Yep. Surveillance portion of it is pretty wild, and not sort of having no idea what you're going to get for evidence at a hearing, right? Because again, all they have to do is list that they have a video and that there are these witnesses, and basically nothing else.
Yeah. Conversely, though, I had one years ago with Paul Salafi, who's now retired.
God, he was the best.
And Paul was a great attorney, but he had absolutely no personality at all, and was about as monotone as you can be, and just kind of Darth Vader, defense lawyer, like
He was the best.
Yeah. Anyways, I've got a case, and Paul brings out surveillance, and my guy's got arm tattoos on his left arm, and they started showing this video of this guy playing softball. I don't remember if it was a back injury or a arm injury or what, but whatever the injury was, he should have been playing softball.
Okay.
And they zoom in on the guy. There's no tattoos on the guy's arm. They had the wrong guy.
Did he present it as evidence for the hearing?
Oh yeah. So I had the video guy there.
Yeah.
You see my guy's got tattoos? You see that guy doesn't have tattoos?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
You would agree that's not my client? Yes, sir. It was great. And Paul just stormed out of that hearing. And that being said, 9 times out of 10, it is our guy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But the thing is, like I said, they usually don't have much. It's them going to the store. It's that, and unless they're wheelchair bound, that's okay.
Yeah.
Like nobody expects you to live inside your house with the shades drawn. Like people have to live. So just be honest. You have to
It
be
usually
honest.
gets worse than a lie.
Yeah,
That
that's
cover
it.
up.
Yeah.
That's it. And so as long as you're honest, usually a lot of times they won't even show the video when they admit, look, I go to the store or I do this or that.
Yeah.
And it loses its value over time.
Yeah.
Okay, a couple more things. What do you like the best about being a lawyer?
I like speaking with clients. Like I like the interaction, helping people, or I guess like either teamwork, like when we were bouncing ideas off each other, like doing a mock hearing, talking through an argument, something like that, or like actually talking with clients. Like I had a guy call me within like the first 30 seconds I was in the office this morning, but I was like, yeah, like that's my job. That's what I enjoy, is like being the person, the resource for them at their time in life. I think something that Sean said earlier, maybe, you know, like our job is to prepare them, like to counsel the good and the bad. Like we're a resource for them, like while they're going through something no one ever wants to go through. And so, you know, whether or not it's strictly always legal advice, like this is the law or not, or, you know, this is how I would approach this, like time in your life. Yeah, I definitely enjoy like actually interacting with clients the most.
Yeah.
I'm the same. I mean, I think the best thing about being a lawyer is giving somebody a positive result, right? Like, to do injury law, I think you have to care about people.
Yeah.
You know, it's not one of those. I mean, maybe there are attorneys that do it that don't, but to me, it's like doing, you know, workers' comp or personal injury. You have to have a certain ability to empathize with people and care and like really want to give them positive results.
Yeah.
So I mean, that for me is like, you know, that call after you get a good decision on a file when you call the client. Usually try to do it on Fridays for good news, so they have a nice long weekend, right?
Yeah.
No
bad news on Friday.
Right? Yeah. Wait till Monday for a bad decision.
Yeah.
But calling them and just say, hey, we got this result, you know, and you know, it's the best feeling I think of being a lawyer. I think a lot of what Hannah said sort of nailed that. But if we're talking about not that portion of it, but just sort of being a lawyer, I love the math part of things.
Yeah.
You guys know me, like
No one goes to law school for math.
No, I know. There's a certain like.
I hate math.
Oh yeah. There's a. They don't really tell you that in law school. Like a lot of it is math, right? Especially doing workers' comp and where everything's a formula, right, or a personal injury. I don't know, numbers just speak to me. I enjoy looking at them and trying to figure out how I can recalculate average weekly wage. Or
Dana's got all these formulas he does to calculate this stuff. I call Dana from the future. He's got all these weird things he does. I'm old school. I dictate. I do everything kind of old school. But it's good to have different people with different backgrounds and the way they do things.
Yeah, for sure.
And I've always tried to be one that we kind of have a standardized process where we do a lot of stuff, but we also have deviation where you've got to figure out what works for you. Dana may have a process, Hannah may have a process, Sean may have a process, and that's okay, you know. But you got to have systems, and you got to have something that works for you. Kind of a variation of what these guys said. I'm kind of the same thing. I mean, as clients, I like clients. I like working for blue collar folks, nurses, construction guys. That's mostly who our clients are. You know, I think I grew up, and that's why kind of what I do is kind of funky for, I don't know if the belief system or whatever, but I grew up when insurance companies did a lot of this stuff, is where they were really pushing hard marketing PR that anybody that filed a lawsuit's a bad person, anybody that files a claim, you know, is garbage. And, you know, I that resonated with a lot of people. The McDonald's case, they went crazy on that to try to kind of influence people. And it was very successful for a while, where they, you know, and I think I kind of took some of that, saying, you know, it's not okay, you can't do that. What I've learned over time is, you know, it's easy for them to say that, but when you get a guy that his only currency is his body, his back, his arms, his work ethic, tell that guy that when he can't use his arms, when he can't use his back. A lot of our clients don't have, you know, huge savings account, 401ks. We are it. They have lost their value, basically, and we got to pursue these comp claims and these personal injury claims to try to get them compensation. And guess what? No matter how good we do, the compensation usually isn't good enough for what they went through. What we try to do is maximize what they're entitled to, whether it's workers' comp, PI, because it's important, and they rely on us, and that's why. I grew up in the North Country, kind of a blue-collar community. That's who I know. Those are who my friends were. I'd rather much spend time with them than a bunch of bankers, frankly, or suits in an office somewhere. So I'm right where I should be. I didn't know that initially. You know, I guess law school is going to be a defense lawyer, like insurance defense or something. You know?
You could always switch sides.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. Not my style.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's what I got.
Excellent. I mean, kind of the same way, but from a different angle, especially from the personal injury side. I really like the ability to hold people accountable, especially on behalf of our clients. You know, some sort of wrong will be done to them. They don't know what to do. They don't know what the process is. I say it all the time. They don't give you a handbook when you get injured. You got to just figure it out. And usually that's a call to us or something.
We actually have a workers' comp handbook.
That's true. That's true. Shameless self-promotion. Right. Check out our website while you're there for the actual handbook.
www.wardlawnh.com.
But it's nice because, you know, somebody in a car crash or a slip and fall, you know, they're very upset, and, you know, their life has been interrupted for, you know, sometimes these people are dealing with these injuries for multiple years, and all they were doing was walking into a store or driving to work that day, and all of a sudden their life's turned upside down. And generally the only way to hold people accountable, which nobody ever wants to be held accountable, is through the legal process. And we are experts at helping them through that. And what I tell people often, clients, is you're not going to enjoy this process, but I'm going to try to get you through it as unscathed as possible. So that's what I like to do, is hold them accountable and then ultimately get that closure for the client. Because, you know, once you get that closure, you know, you say, we're closing our file, we're all done here. They're, you know, most of the time thankful, sometimes not as much, but it's very satisfying to get those clients that closure after, you know, sometimes years long of a process that they've been dealing with.
Move to our lightning round now. Okay, this is 5 questions, quick answers, kind of personal, fun stuff, a little background about who we are, what we like, that sort of thing. Hannah, favorite color?
Blue.
Dana?
Green.
Ward, blue.
Oh, blue. Filled that one.
Yeah. Favorite animal?
Dog.
Dog.
Elephant.
Oh, I know why. All right.
Favorite instrument?
Piano.
Guitar.
Fiddle. If you're gonna play in Texas, you gotta have a fiddle in the band. John.
Bongos?
Bongo.
Wait,
You said fiddle and you're giving him a hard time about bongo.
the line is drawn at bongos.
Favorite sport?
Oh, that's hard. I like sports. I don't know.
You gotta pick one.
Favorite?
Basketball.
To watch football, to play baseball. So.
Football.
Football.
USA or Canada tonight? Who's gonna win?
Canada.
Oh.
I don't know.
Oh my God.
Well, Tatum's run ended here very quickly. USA. McAvoy doesn't know who's going to play, though, huh?
USA, I'll be there. Look for Jack and I.
USA.
Okay. I think that was 5 questions, wasn't it?
Favorite food?
Favorite food?
I love all food.
Oh,
Mexican food, tacos.
Pizza.
Steak.
tacos. I think I had all Hannah's answers. Except for Canada, because that was wrong.
Oh, gosh.
We'll find out.
Okay, last one. I'm thinking of a number 1 through 10.
7.
13, even though it's not 1 to 10. It's
Oh my
number.
God.
It's my number.
I thought you were good at math.
I am.
9.
2.
You make that up afterwards.
And Dana has to be color outside the line.
Yeah.
13, by the way.
Yeah, it's my number.
Play within the system.
All right, ask it again. Pick a number between 1 and 13. 13.
Thank you.
It's not between.
Oh, that's true.
Okay. Thank you, Pete, for watching the first Ward Law Group podcast. Thank you to our great team. We got Dana,
Yeah.
Hannah, Sean. We had
job.
fun doing it, and it was hopefully you guys learned some information, got a little bit of info about who your lawyers are and what we do, what we like.
Can we do this again?
We can do this again.
Right.
We'll figure out another time to do it. And feel free to, if you have questions, specific things you want us to talk about, ideas for a podcast, let us know. Jada and Dina run our marketing, and we're happy to try new things. Anything, guys?
No, that's great. I think that's awesome. We're happy to answer questions anytime, so shoot something our way. And
Bye.
Thanks.